I can't remember what it is. Me and Squirt say hello. This is my little old man, in case y'all didn't know. Look at that. Look at that. Fairy godmother. Hey, Squirt, you have a good day. It's my little old man. You see his ears like a little radar coming up. I hope everybody is having a wonderful weekend. I know a lot of you are probably already in your home church setting, and that's okay. And you can watch us on the replay. I hope y'all have a wonderful time of fellowship in your physical congregations. I think that's great. I think that's where you need to be. We had a wonderful Christmas party last night. All kinds of fun things was going on. Woo! But yeah, now it's almost time for Christmas. Week, 7 days and counting. Hopefully everybody's ready by now. Katie had a little sleepover, and we got all the girls, and we got Max, and yeah, all the fun things. Don't fall, Squirt. He's old and he's losing his balance. Lord help him. Okay, I got you, Squirt. All right, so the morning announcements. Okay, Matt left up the giving. If you want to give to the ministry, onelifeataTime.churchcenter.com/giving. That's how you do that. Let's change this. If you want to join our church family on Facebook, right there's the link. That's where all kinds of fun stuff goes. Silly stuff and whatever else. If you haven't already, like, share, ring the bell, subscribe, do all the things. You ready to go? Okay. Go on an adventure, Sir Squirty. He's an old feller. He don't get the zoomies. He gets the meanders. Hey! Good morning, Sister Marilyn. Whew, I hope y'all are having a good day. All right, so yesterday we learned about Bethlehem a little bit and its importance, and that, God can use you where you're at. That's an important thing. Today, we're going to talk about Esther. Yeah, she's pretty cool. Or Hadassah, as her Jewish name is. She was an orphan raised by her cousin Mordecai, and he worked for the king. And we know the beginning of Esther starts. Good morning, Joe. With Vashti refusing to come to the king, refusing to do what he said, and he displaces her, and then probably the biggest beauty pageant known to man happened, where all the single women were gathered up and to see who would be the next queen. Please don't hurt him, Max. Anyway, the Lord was with Esther, and Esther was selected as the queen. Now, there was within the king's court a prince named Haman who wanted to kill the Jews. He had devised a plan to kill all the Jews and had it wrote into the law, which when things were wrote into the law, they could not be undone as far as that goes. So Mordecai was telling Esther, hey, Esther, you got to do something about this. And so this is where we're going to jump in on this conversation. We're on chapter 4 of Esther, and it's the whole chapter. And I am in the NASB. When Mordecai learned all that had been done, he tore his clothes, put on sackcloth and ashes, and went out into the midst of the city and wailed loudly and bitterly. This was the response to what had been put into the law. He went as far as the king's gate, for no one was to enter the king's gate clothed in sackcloth. In each and every province where the command and decree of the king came, there was great mourning among the Jews, with fasting, weeping, and wailing, and many lay on sackcloth and ashes. Then Esther's maidens and her eunuchs came and told her, and the queen writhed in great anguish. And she sent garments to clothe Mordecai that he might remove his sackcloth from him, but he did not accept them. Then Esther summoned Hathach from the king's eunuchs, whom the king had appointed to attend her, and ordered him to go to Mordecai to learn what this was and why it was. So Hathach went out to Mordecai to the city square in front of the king's gate. Mordecai told him all that had happened to him and the exact amount of money that Haman had promised to pay to the king's treasuries for the destruction of the Jews. So this is genocide. This is wiping out an entire people. Now, mind you, at this point, it's not known that Esther is a Jewess. He also gave him a copy of the text of the edict which had been issued in Susa for their destruction, that he might show Esther and inform her, and to order her to go in to the king to implore his favor and to plead with him for their people. Now, to go in unsummoned was a death sentence, unless the king stretched out his scepter. Hathach came back and related Mordecai's words to Esther. Then Esther spoke to Hathach and ordered him to reply to Mordecai. All the king's servants and the peoples of the king's provinces know that for any man or woman who comes to the king to the inner court who is not summoned, he has but one law, that he be put to death, unless the king holds out to him the golden scepter, so that he may live. And I have not been summoned to come to the king for these 30 days. He hasn't called me in a month, Mordecai. And you want me to do this? That's a death sentence. They related Esther's words to Mordecai. Then Mordecai told them to reply to Esther, do not imagine that you in the king's palace can escape any more than all the Jews. For if you remain silent at this time, relief and deliverance will arise for the Jews from another place, and you and your father's house will perish. And who knows whether you have not attained royalty for such a time as this. She came into power for such a time as this. Don't think, Esther, that if you keep quiet, that you're going to be spared because the king doesn't know that you're a Jew. Don't think that you're not going to suffer, because even if you keep silent, God will deliver his people, but you will go punished. Why? Because you had the power to stand up and to do what was right. Wow. That'll preach right there. How many times do we have the power to do what's right? Do we have the power to stand up, stand our ground and say, no, we're not going to do this? But we keep silent. Sadly, that's probably why America is where it's at right now, because good people have kept silent. Then Esther told them to reply to Mordecai, go, assemble all the Jews who are found in Susa and fast for me. Do not eat or drink for 3 days, night or day. I and my maidens also will fast in the same way. And thus I will go into the king, which is not according to the law. And if I perish, I perish. So Mordecai went away and did just as Esther had commanded. If I perish, I perish. I don't care what my consequence will be, because I will do what's right. I will do what's in my power. I will take a stand, and whatever happens, happens. That's God's business. I'm learning a lot about that one. Whatever happens, after that, that's God's business. You can only do what he tells you to do. And once you've done that, whatever happens next is up to him. Sometimes we need to take on that attitude of, well, if I perish, I perish. Not saying that you're counting on it, but we don't love our life to death. You know what I mean? We love him more than anything. We're willing to stand up and to take that stand and do what's right. We're willing to fight for the kingdom, to fight for the things of God. So after the 3-day fast, Esther would hold some banquets, some special meals for the king and for Haman. And finally, at the last one, she would say, hey, king, somebody is trying to kill your queen. What are you going to do? And he gets mad and he's like, who would do that? And she's like, Haman, because I'm a Jew. I'm a Jewess. Well, Haman had got cocky and built some gallows because he couldn't stand Mordecai. So the king had him hanged on the same gallows that he had prepared. And it was written into the law that the Jews could fight back on the day appointed for their destruction, and that they could take whatever from their attackers. Like if they killed them, they could take their property, they could take their gold, they could take whatever. So they armed themselves and they fought back. I think probably a lot less people tried something, knowing that they couldn't, that they wasn't just going to get to slaughter them and take all their possessions. And Mordecai took Haman's place. God provided. God saved him. Max, you're being a little extra. He's wanting to get to Squirt, and Squirt says no. Say hello to the internet, Squirt. Yeah. Puppy wars. Hey, Max. Y'all, God will raise up deliverance. And sometimes we're in positions to fight for others. Sometimes we've been elevated to help God's people. That's the thing we got to realize. God doesn't prosper us just for our own benefit. He prospers us to help others, to intervene where we can, to do good to those, to love. You know, that's the real thing with Christmas. Loving people, doing good to them when you have a chance to. All right, guys. Well, I love you. God loves you. There ain't a thing you can do about it. I'll see y'all on Monday.